Welcome into Sports Idiot Nation. It is a Wednesday. So, new episodes of Sports Idiot Nation come every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Of course, you know, Monday and Friday, those are more news related. Wednesday, that's where we kind of dive into different fun things. Today is no different. We're bringing back Mr. Johnny Dell. He's going to go over really what his channel is about. And we're going to break down one of the coolest, I think, defensive coverages in the NFL, and that is known as, Johnny?
It's usually known as Cover 4 Palms, sometimes called Read 2, and sometimes called Cover 7 Clamp.
Okay, so we're going to get into that. This is Sports Idiot Nation.
Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. Welcome back, sinners. This is Season 2 of Sports Idiot Nation.
Welcome in. It is Wednesday. Time for some Sports Idiot Nation. Time for Mr. Johnny Dell. He has been on the show numerous times. Thank you, Johnny, for hanging out. Follow Sports Idiot Nation wherever you get your social media. Johnny, explain your channel a little bit, and then we're going to dive right in. You're going to show some X's and O's and everything. I'm super excited, but explain your channel.
So my channel is mainly focused on the 49ers, really about 99.9% focused on the 49ers, unless the Cowboys do a crazy trade, like trade a three-time All-Pro. Then we'll talk about that. But most of the time, I do a lot of edited videos. I'm trying to answer the whys and hows of the game. That is the tagline I've got on there. It's not just words. It really is, how many times have we come off of a game on Sunday and said, why did this happen? Or how did this happen? And it's about diving in, looking at the X's and O's, looking at the execution, looking at the players, and saying how and why did the game end the way it did. And we take a look into it and try and make it digestible for most people. Football is an incredibly complex sport. It is an incredibly complex exercise, and so getting into some of that while also making it digestible for anybody from the 50-year fan to the brand new international fan who is maybe watching American football for the very first time in their life and trying to learn a little bit more about the game. We try and reach out and make sure that we can touch both people and get to both people in a way to communicate that.
So today, I gotta say, this is not Sports Idiot Nation. There's nothing idiot about this, because we are really going to make all of you feel very, very smart, because this is just not just for the casual fan. You're going to learn some stuff. I'm excited to talk through Palms. Where did it start? When did you first understand it? Was it difficult at first for you?
I don't know if it's difficult. It's a lot to digest in the sense. So I really started to look more into it when Robert Saleh came to the 49ers, and he was running more of that. When I was really diving into the X's and O's on the defensive side, I started out during the Jim O'Neill era of the 49ers, who was defensive coordinator in 2016, and it was really a terrible year. And it was a very simplistic defensive scheme from the coverage standpoint. From the fronts and what they did, it was very, very complex, often too complex for guys to handle on the move, a lot of man coverage. And then when Robert Saleh came along, it was very zone heavy. And they did a lot of different things. It wasn't a ton of different zone coverages. They did a few with a lot of complexity. And so it wasn't just a simple, we're going to line up and play cover 3. We're going to line up and play cover 4. We're going to line up and play cover 2. There's a lot of variation, a lot of complexity to it in that system, and you have to have guys that can run that. And so that's when I started to dive into it more. And some of the Seattle specific stuff, that's one of the systems out there that has some of the fewest resources among a lot of the systems running around the NFL. But Palms coverage really came more out of the Nick Saban branch and Bill Belichick branch. And Nick Saban, there's a lot of resources out there to find some of his stuff. And you get in touch with the right people, and they can really send you the right stuff. I have a write-up that I've used as a lot of this. That's a 12-page write-up, 6 pages for the corners, 6 pages for the defensive backs, explaining their rules and techniques in cover 4 palms. And this was either written by Bill Belichick or Vic Fangio, one of the two in there that I was able to get a hold of. And just diving into it, you really, yes, you can read the write-ups, but watching and identifying the reps on tape is what teaches you the most about it. And you see what works in there and what isn't, and why they love it. D'Amico Ryans is somebody who over the last 4 years has run a lot of palms coverage. You're seeing a little bit more of it. Pete Carroll did run it a lot with Seattle there in the early 2010s and through that time, and people started bringing it more into the NFL throughout that time, kind of, or really bringing it back to the NFL. It was run by Bill Belichick, but then he was very man coverage in New England, and as these zones kind of started to come in more, you saw more and more of it coming in, and it's been very much when teams are running quarters coverage, a lot of times they're running a palms. That's just what the way the NFL has gone because of the ways they've learned to attack cover 4 or quarters coverage. And so, there's times where they are, times that they aren't, and you kind of learn through watching the reps of what some of the triggers are and what some of the triggers aren't.
So before we get into some film, help me understand and our fellow idiots understand what actually is palms coverage. Can you break it down before you break it down?
Yeah, so we have these kind of numberings with coverages. We say cover 0, cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, cover 4. And then there's ways you can say cover 5, cover 6, cover 7, cover 9. Those are variations of some of the other coverages. Each one refers to how many men are deep. So cover 0, you have no safety. So nobody deep past 10 yards off the line of scrimmage. That's an all-out blitz. Usually, you have cover 1 where there's going to be 1 deep safety. That's a man coverage. So only 1 deep safety. You're going to be in a man coverage of some sort. Cover 2, you can have cover 2 man coverage. You can have cover 2 zone coverage. So man is what it sounds like. It's 2 deep safeties with man coverage underneath that. And then there's cover 2 zone, which is 2 deep safeties and 5 zones underneath that. You have cover 3 zone, which is then 3 deep zones and 4 underneath zones. You have cover 4, which is 4 deep zones and 3 underneath zones. And then you have some fire zones. Fire zones is an F word for 5-man rush. And so a fire zone is going to be how you have zones with 6 defenders dropping deep instead of 7 or dropping into coverage. So you could have cover 2 fire, you can have a cover 3 fire, you can have a cover 4 fire. That means there are variations of 6-man zones on the backside of it. And then you can have a lot of different variations off that, but that's kind of the quick and dirty. So when we talk about cover 4 palms, we're saying cover 4, but we're going to have a palms read, or some will call a two read, which means that it's going to be a coverage that will change from either being cover 2 on that side or cover 4 on that side, depending on how the number 2 receiver releases into their pattern or goes out for a catch. What route they're running is how it changes. And so everybody on that side of the ball, eyes are reading through the number 2 to the backfield to read for run as well, but everybody keeps their eyes on the number 2, and everything changes its dispersion and how they pick things up depending on how the number 2 releases.
Okay, so is there anything else that you need to point out to us before we see it on the screen? Any other rules, to go over?
I mean, there's going to be some divider rules and stuff, but we don't really need to get into that and how things are. An example of a divider or overhang. So you have, this is Jimmy Ward. This is back with the 49ers with 2022. Jimmy Ward, before we knew he was doing what he was doing, he's in what's called an overhang position. So that means he is going to be between the end man on the line of scrimmage. He's going to be between this man and the number 2 receiver. Okay. That's what we call by the overhang or apex defender. He's going to be outside of his defensive end, but inside of the number 2 receiver. So that's one clue that you have palms here, is that you're getting that. Plus you have off coverage, off coverage, off coverage. And then on the backside, this is going to be Charvarius Ward. He comes up into a press, but he's going to bail out of that. They allow corners to do that. It helps disguise some things, because you could be in cover 4 tricks. You could be in cover 4. You could rotate into cover 3 Mabel out of this. You're presenting a lot of different things. But how do we know it's going to be palms? Well, we have this overhang defender over here. We have one safety who is outside shoulder of the tight end, and we have the other safety right on the hash who's outside of where a tight end would be. So your safeties are on that depth. That is an indicator of cover 4. This is Diamador Lenore before he had changed his number. They're going to be communicating here with Talanoa Hufanga. Okay, they are in a palms coverage. So what does this look like then? It means you're in cover 4. So you have 4 guys deep. I'm going to draw these out here. And then you have 3 guys underneath. That is if this guy does not come up and release out with this guy going outside and vertical. So this is where it becomes palms. If the number 2, what the biggest key with palms is if the number 2 receiver runs an out route at 5 yards or less, that's going to be right here, then this corner is going to squat, and this safety has to turn into a half field safety. And then this overhang defender will not go out past the numbers. So he's going to pick up, and
that's like day one stuff. Like, hey, you install that day one. Look, if this guy goes outside, it's like a known thing, right? Just automatic.
Yeah, that's usually one of the. I mean, it's one of the first things. Really, they install all the rules at once, but they're going to go through the teaching tape on it. So,
sure.
One way you can beat this is you run somebody down the seam, and then because the challenge is, how do you get into this area? How do you get into an area where there's going to be space? Because if you get in 4, you're going to have a hook curl guy out here, and then how do you clear out this corner and this safety, threaten both of them, and get somebody into this lane? So here, what the Chargers are going to do is they're going to run this guy deep, and this is so they're in an unbalanced set. That's something to really understand here. So they're going into more of a trips package here. But they're unbalanced set. So this is a strong side. The Chargers are going to run this wide receiver deep. Let me do them in white so you can see them a little better. This is going to be what's called X cross. So you have your X receiver is going to run a deep crossing route, and then you're going to run a flat route out here. So that way you're going to grab both safeties, or you try and grab both safeties, and then you grab your hook curl, and you're going to hit this alley. Now, in palms coverage, what should happen here is if the number 1 goes radically vertical here down the seam, and there's no vertical from number 2, then this safety needs to cross key to the other side and look to pick up any crossers. And Talanoa Hufanga is a little bit slow on this. So he was a player that was really good in a lot of ways. So now the numberings have changed. So now they're going to swap. They're changing strength. Okay, and you see that, and you see he's getting back into an overhang over here. So they're going to run this. Here comes the play action, and so there you get both safeties are keying on here. You're getting, this is Azeez Al-Shire, who is now a starter with the Texans, is going to come out to the flat with this, and you're going to have this guy crossing. As this gets released vertical by this breaking point, by the 40-yard line, Talanoa Hufanga should just hand him over to the corner and go look to attack. And Tayshaun Gibson should be a little bit more down by the hash here. And because Mooney Ward, as he sees a radically inside break from number 1, Mooney Ward's going to gain depth and look to pick up anything that comes across the field. Like if this guy runs a post, that's now Mooney Ward's responsibility because of the radical inside move.
He's got no one else.
By the number 1.
He's got no one else to cover.
Well, it's also just, I mean, he could have somebody sneak out here in the flat, but his job is to climb vertically and then go pick up anything deep crossing the field. So that's his job there. And that's what we're going to see. And here, Justin Herbert, they run the play action fake. You're getting this. You're getting a double. And Tayshaun Gibson isn't on this enough. Again, Hufanga should be coming down because you got Mooney Ward back for anything post. And Diamador Lenore is going to carry this really close inside. And so you're okay with that.
He's at,
yeah. Hufanga should be peeling off, but he's not. And so you get a throw in there and they get a big catch. It's about a 15-yard gain. So good on the Chargers, not great on the 49ers. They're going to be a little irritated with this. Again, Tayshaun Gibson, a little slow on his read there. He bites a little bit too much and he turns his hips. They don't like that. So That's a big play there for the Chargers. Now, they're on the weak side here. So this is going to be a weak side. You got 3 receivers to the top. They're on the weak side, boundary side. So we're saying towards the boundary, short side of the field. The ball is on the near hash. So this is the boundary side. This is the field side. If we run where the ball is, okay? So let me make this a little bit bigger. So that changes the rules over here. Here you are in no palms. Here you are in palms. So when you are on the weak side, on the boundary side, they're not running palms. So the Chargers here are going to run a little spacing concept. So they're going to run a little hook or snag route and a flat route. And so if this was palms, what you would expect is Azeez Al-Shaair would bounce out just a little bit. And then you're going to have Diamador Lenore would attack the flat route. And this is Tayshaun Gibson would go deep. And so you're trying to get this receiver matched up on Azeez Al-Shaair. That's the idea here, is what you want. But because they have a check of this is the field side or boundary side, and it's not in weak side, it's not in palms, you're not going to see that happen. So as this gets released, Diamador Lenore is going to gain depth. Azeez Al-Shaair is going to go deep. Now, Tayshaun Gibson should attack this snag route. That's where he's got to pick this up, as it is a radically in-breaking from the original number 2. He's now got to pick up the new number 2. So we've had this cross spacing within 5 yards. So these numbers change. This is the number 1. This is the number 2. I know I'm going real fast on this, but you wanted to dive into it, Adam.
Yeah.
It gets there. And so now you have a spacing, because Fred Warner's got to be, he's what's called a 3-receiver hook. So he's got a shade to the 3-receiver side. Gibson should be attacking this a little bit more. But this is also the idea with palms, is you're going to keep everything in front of you. Right. You're going to keep these guys ready to attack. So they get a catch here, but it's only about a 4-yard gain.
Right. We'll take that.
Yeah, they're going to take that, but that should be picked up a little bit quicker by these guys. Tayshaun Gibson should be attacking that a little bit harder. Good call there by the Chargers. I forget who is running for them. But now you're going to have another area they're going to try and attack this palms coverage. So you're going to run a double post, and a post route, and a post route. These are nowhere near what they actually run. So now you're going to have this safety's got to grab the number 2. The corner's got to match the number 1, because if this number 1 and the number 2 go vertical, then this corner has to be what's called mod coverage. So it's man on demand. So he is triggering mod coverage as it's demanded now that as this has gone vertical, number 2's gone vertical, he has to grab man coverage. And then same with the safety. He's got to grab man coverage here. So this will convert to man coverage as they go. And that means that Jimmy Ward has to match the number 3. And by matching, we mean go into man coverage. This isn't just go out into the flat. You go with him everywhere he goes after this. The difference, sometimes people will confuse that with Meg coverage. Meg coverage is man everywhere you go, but that is something that is triggered pre-snap. Mod is something that's triggered post-snap. So you're going to see here that this is a really high-level execution of this. You're getting one. Jimmy Ward is going to retreat, squeeze the seam to protect his safety. What he's doing is he knows that as that number 2 goes vertical, that his safety is going to be in man coverage. So he's trying to prevent a 2-way go. He's not letting this receiver come up and have a 2-way go on his safety. So that's really hard for a guy 10 yards deep that's a safety, Tayshaun Gibson, to cover the 2-way go. He knows this is going to be triggered into man. So what he's going to do is he's going to squeeze this out and provide leverage now for his safety. So the safety's on anything in breaking. He can sit and then look to carry deep. So that he's gonna allow more of a throw to outside, but again, that's going to be out where your other corner is. So that's not a great thing. So he's established Jimmy Ward here by squeezing the number 2 down the seam, but he's got eyes to the number 3. He's got to match. This is really high level execution by Jimmy Ward. It's why he got paid so much money then by the Texans after this season to go to them.
Yeah.
And so to squeeze that seam and then go attack this flat that's coming down here. So there it goes. And then boom. You go make the tackle, and it's for a 2-yard gain on 2nd and 11. So that is where Palms really starts to shine, is that you're able to do this. you have the flexibility that when they go too deep like this, you can cover that, and you get, if you got a good tackler, here's your nickel or overhang guy, apex, some people call it star, just whatever name you want to call it. You got a good tackler out there, you can go run this, and they can do, and you can pull it off.
That's the key, because not every single NFL team, I feels like, has a guy. Now here's a guy that can just, oh, hey, I need you to go ahead and make that open field tackle. Like, not every team. I mean, look at that. He's got a bit more. He's got 5 more yards to get. I mean,
and a little sidebar here. I know this is not a 49ers offense or 49ers audience, but that's why the 49ers like to pick like hybrid safety guys, like Upton Stout, who is looking to be their starting nickel this year. He's that kind of hybrid safety who is a good tackler in space. That's what they want to be able to do. You see that here. He's going to be playing that same role that Jimmy Ward did in this offense. So that's what you get. So now we're going to be running palms up to the top again. And this is a play that's called choice clear. So they're going to run, I believe this guy goes vertical. Let me run it again. I wrote this on my notes, but I just need to double check exactly what I saw. Yeah, okay. They're running that vertical, and then they're running the little choice by the running back underneath. So he's going to run down the seam. They're going to bring this guy in motion and go out to the flat.
He was open, it looked like.
And then you run your running back here on a choice route. So he's on a choice route. The problem here is that this route is not even in the progression. This is not in the progression.
Oh, so so Herbert's not looking there.
He's no. This is, so when we say choice clear, this is called a clear route. And so then when you have a choice underneath that, this route is just meant to push a hook player. You're hoping for cover 3 here, really. A hook player vertical to then run to see which one of the safety or the linebacker carries this, and then bring a choice into that same spot.
In or out.
Yeah, if you don't really get a true carrying of that, if it's like the corner, then he's got to try and find a soft spot in the zone and just hook down. And that's what he really does here. But what you're going to see is that as this goes out, they're going to say, okay, he's outside the numbers. So that's outside the divider rule. So now you're going to see that they carry this deep. This is coming out. So Azeez Al-Shire is going to go in. This has really now become a vertical, the number 1. This is now that you're number 2. You're going to carry these out here, and then they're going to have the choice route underneath. Again, Talanoa Hufanga should be coming up and attacking this choice route a little bit harder. And Azeez Al-Shire was expecting Lenore to pick that outside up. You can see he sits down inside the numbers. So there is a little bit of a miscommunication here on this.
Yeah.
But either way, these two guys weren't fully on the same page on exactly what was supposed to happen here on this, because you're coming 4 strong. There were 4 receivers to that side, and so it messed up everybody's numberings. But they still do all right here. But you're going to see that this receiver ends up getting to hang down. Fred Warner really should be coming over here and attacking this a little bit more. Fred's usually not wrong, but here he should be coming over here and attacking this route. Basically. So you should have both those guys a little bit more, but you still get, when you have guys of speed who can come and make tackles, this is what Palms allows you to do. So that's what we're seeing here.
Keep it in front.
It's another, just another example of how these rules work out. Fred, he's hanging on this a little bit too long. He needs to be going over here. The post-snap numberings change everything, because Jimmy Ward's got to pick up the number 4 coming across. Fred's got to pick up the number 3 when it comes inside. So that's partially on Fred there. They still get a good tackle. And then we're going to see it really shine here. So the Chargers are backed way up. They're going to bring a guy in motion. And you're going to see this Palms. The Chargers are running an old West Coast staple, Spider 2 Y banana. So Spider 2 is the line shifts to the side, and Y banana is you're going to run the Y receiver on a banana route or a corner route because it's shaped like a banana, and you're going to bring a hard play action to that side. The running back's going to go, and then you're going to have a flat route primary is it's number 1 in the flat to 2 to the corner. That is your progression on this play. You're going to see the play action fake, and then Herbert looks out there. He wants to go, but he sees a couple things. 1, he sees this is coming out. 2, because you're in palms, Mooney Ward is getting ready to jump that route. So he sees Mooney Ward's flat-footed, and now you see also Talanoa Hufanga is moved to a half-field safety. He is well outside the hash. That tells you he's a half-field safety now. So this is that palms coverage. You're picking that up. You're coming over here. You're getting into a drop, and you have your 3-receiver hook coming over that direction, following the quarterback's eyes. So with that, Herbert's got to pull it. He moves on to the banana, and you got a safety over the top. And when you got a Mooney Ward sitting out here, he can flip his hips, and he can then settle underneath the banana route. And then you have a Fred Warner able to follow the eyes to the backside where Herbert wants to go. And now he's got nowhere to go through 1, 2, and 3. He's got a Nick Bosa coming after him. So he says, I got to sail this ball out of bounds. And that's exactly what he does. So palms coverage, they're able to trap those offenses when they are trying to run those things. So you can see it from the end zone, cover 4 palms in all of its beauty, how it works out there. You say, I'm in my own end zone. I got to get the ball out.
Yeah.
So now, and this is the beauty of that. You can just run. You can run this many, many times. It's got lots of answers for lots of different things. So this is the very next play. You're going to run another little palms coverage here. You're going to run a little spot concept. So you're going to run a little snag route. You're going to run a corner route and a flat route. And again, you're going to get this will cover your outbreaker. Even though you're in cover 4, you're going to settle underneath your snag route, and you're going to pick up your corner. So you have the ability to do that. Normally, if this is just cover 4 and you have a spot and you have a corner and you have a flat, you're only going to have on that side of the field. Let me do this in white so we can see a little better. You're going to have a hook curl and you're going to have a deep quarters player. So you end up putting a triangle stretch, if you're not in palms, on your 2 defenders. And so usually then we do a progression read that's 1 to 2 to 3, or sometimes it's 1 to 2 to 3, depending on how they want this read. But you go from having a triangle stretch to not having any stretch. So you can see it happen out here that they're able to take this away. I have the wrong play marked up here. This meant to be the next play. I missed a play on my notes. So this is going to be the spot concepts, or you're going to have a snag, you're going to have a corner, and you're going to have a flat.
Okay.
So let me run this back. So there you see, he's looking over here to read it out. You're going to have your little snag route here. You're going to have your corner route here, and you're going to have your flat route. And again, we're going to see Mooney Ward as this play goes. He's going to squat on this. He's ready to drive. You have your safety coming over the top. You have Jimmy Ward underneath the snag, and you have Fred Warner coming over there now too. So what should be a triangle stretch again, if we're here, we're here, and we're here, and I'm going to do this in white. What should be a triangle stretch on this player and this player becomes now you have rolled 4 to here, to here, to here, and to here. And so when you have that, you have a way to pick up everybody on this by your palms coverage is able to roll that direction. You can see Justin Herbert wants to throw it this way.
Yeah.
But he's reading number 1 to number 2
There's
to
no
number 3. There's no good option there because you got Mooney Ward ready to attack. You got Talanoa Hufanga ready to attack. You got these 2 guys sitting. So now he's going to have to try and work backside to where they got a little spacing concept. So they're going to run a curl and then a flat. And when you pair this with a pass rush of a Nick Bosa,
That's
it
tough.
becomes really hard because by the time a quarterback gets to number 4, there ain't much there. So we're going to see this. There's Nick
Little
Bosa.
spin move.
Boom.
Yeah.
He flushes him to his left, and then you get the other guys.
They almost got it.
75 over here. But this is what it does. So 1, 2, 3. Now I got to get to 4, and I can't because I'm hit. So that is the beauty of palms coverage. Is that it takes concepts that normally beat cover 4, and it allows you the ability to adjust as the play goes to account for those things.
How long have you been drawing up these X's and O's?
Over 10 years now. I've been fortunate to learn more as I go, and I'm still learning more. I mean, football is something that you're constantly trying to learn, and the challenge in what I do on my side is trying to learn in reverse engineering a lot of systems around the NFL. Is in limited sample size, trying to kind of back engineer, whereas like an NFL staff has 20 guys that are all given different points that they have to do write-ups on. Of, they're going to have one guy that just figures out divider rules. So what that means is like you have a set point. Each one is going to have, depending on what they do, and there's a lot of overlap from different systems, but like they're going to have a set point at where the leverage changes. So like in Palms, the outside corner, he's got a divider rule, and I'm trying to remember exactly where it was under D'Amico Ryans. I want to say it was 5 yards inside the numbers was where it changed, where everything outside of that, they're going to be head up on the receiver. Anything outside 5 yards outside the numbers, they were inside the receiver. I want to say that if I remember right. That's kind of going back to trying to remember what I reverse engineered off of it. And then it was anything condensed like inside the hash. If they were ever on that, like if it was boundary side, that they were outside the receiver. So that's usually the way it was. So there's divider rules that will establish, okay, we have this point, at this point, this receiver this corner is going to be head up, or at this point, this corner is going to be outside. And these start becoming really important details when you look at offenses and say, okay, how are we going to block in the run game? So if I'm going to tell my corner or my slot receiver to block this slot defender, he's got to be on his details of exactly where he's supposed to line up. And it may not look like much to us, but if he's off by 1.5 feet, then he could trigger from where he's got a corner head up on him to now he has a corner outside shoulder. And so, or vice versa. So that block becomes a lot easier if your guy's outside shoulder. Right. If he's head up on you or even inside of you, then that becomes a lot more difficult. And so like there's a lot of details like that go in this reverse engineering. So a lot of like teams will have write-ups over the years with different coordinators and different systems and say, okay, these are what their divider rules are. We figured out what their divider rules are. I think Mike Nolan said it many, many years ago. He said there's a lot fewer secrets in the NFL than people realize, because you just have so many eyes on it. But for what I do, it's incredibly hard. So I always put the caveat that this is for the majority of time, or this is in these cases, or I could be wrong on some of this. But there's certain things that you notice over the years and things like that we can see it's cover 4 alignment, and then you see this cover 2 changing, and you see the eyes on the number 2 receiver. Those are all the trademarks of seeing that this is a Palms coverage. And so fun to break down some Palms, hopefully in a way that people can at least get a primer on it. FYI, if you play Madden, do not pick cover 4 Palms if you think it's going to do this. It does not do this. Their cover 4 Palms in Madden, the developers, their idea of it means that it just means that that a receiver their guys will basically be in man coverage on any route that's deeper than 10 yards. So that's just how it goes. It's just basically they turned it into a man matching cover 4, so that those zones transition into man coverage after a certain point. But there's no changing based upon how the routes go and all that stuff. So it's really not cover 4 Palms. And their cover 3 Mabel is atrocious. It is not anywhere close to what cover 3 Mabel actually is.
Madden out here catching some strays from Johnny Dell.
Look, I have no problem saying it. No problem saying it.
No, we've talked about playing Madden and how the defense and how the AI doesn't do what it's supposed to do. I totally get it. This has been awesome. If you want to see more things like this on, say, for example, receiver route trees, this is well documented by a one Johnny Dell. Johnny, tell us where we can see some of that stuff.
So that's for the members of my members website, jfa49.com. Those are also the people who directly support a lot of the film work I do during the season. That has become really the only revenue stream for the channel, as the NFL has been extremely difficult in monetizing things like this, which will most likely happen to y'all's channel. You won't get a copyright strike. They're just going to run their own ads and take the money for this episode, most likely. So for everybody watching this, if you are a fan of this channel and you see what these guys are doing and you like this episode, if this brought any sort of enlightenment to you, throw in a few nickels these guys' way, because usually the NFL doesn't like people who aren't employed by them doing this kind of stuff. So
we know how that goes. But I wanted to just bring you in because I think you're going to blow a lot of people's minds, not just Miles and T.I., who is not with us today, but just in general.
But not forgotten.
Correct. And I just think this is really, really great stuff. Again, check out the website, guys. And it's not about being a 49er fan. Obviously, it's a no-brainer if you're a 49er fan, as it's been well documented on this show that, yes, I am. And that's how Johnny and I connected. We do a podcast together, strictly all things 49ers. But I wanted to have him on to go over some of these concepts, because even if you're not a 49er fan, it doesn't matter. You can still see the breakdown of what Justin Herbert sees and some of these concepts. And then when you go and watch your favorite team, you can kind of check out what the DBs do. And now you'll have a better understanding of why they do it. So the next time you yell at your favorite DB from your favorite team, you might say, well, it was actually the linebacker's fault. It wasn't the DB's fault. You know, that's happened to us, actually. We blamed Huff when he was with us for a certain play. I remember a couple years ago, and we realized actually we weren't supposed to be blaming him, because we know the defensive concepts and what he was supposed to do. He just couldn't cover his buddy in time, and everyone thinks Huff blew the play. So these are types of things that just make you more of an educated fan, which is what everyone wants to be, and it's how you can be not so much an idiot. So again, follow us on social media. Go ahead and drop some nickels towards Johnny, because what he does is crazy important. We just try and make you laugh and make you a little bit more knowledgeable. Johnny's like saving lives with this stuff, so we appreciate it. Remember, new episodes come to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, which means we will see you Friday. Thank you for watching this episode of Sports Idiot Nation. Remember, we are on all social media and on YouTube, and the podcast can be found on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Remember, new episodes are every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And remember, because you watch Sports Idiot Nation,
you would be the smartest idiot in the whole world.